Hey! Welcome to the refined life where Vinny works.
But this is the only time we've seen him quiet, right? We should, you know what? Anytime we want him to be quiet, one of us should start texting him things that are business, and apparently he will stop. Now I know all the text messages I'm getting from him. Now I know what his wife has experienced during that.
Well, he has
That's why she doesn't. That's why she doesn't mind the fact that I'm around. That's why she doesn't mind me doing business. It's the only quiet time she gets.
He has not broke stride. This is impressive.
It is.
Oh shit! He just did math. He just did math. 2 + 2 is 4. Yeah, got it.
I mean, if you think about it, though, it's pretty hard to get him to stop when he's talking. That's just text talk. So, see, he's still going on.
True story. The focus, though.
The focus.
It's the demeanor. That's the word I'm looking for. His demeanor right now is very serious.
Yeah, like you think he might come out of this being like, listen, guys, not everything's a joke. But he's not. He's not. What if he's just having a discussion about puppies or something? What if it has nothing to do with anything?
Ghost puppies.
So as luck would have it. No, this guy.
I was talking about puppies.
This guy is upset at the Buffalo River Resort because we don't have any cabins available for mid-July. He's like, well, I don't understand why they're not available. I was like, well,
Because they're booked.
because people already
2
booked them.
+ 2 is 4.
He goes, well, why don't y'all have more cabins? I'm like, well, because we don't. And so he was just on there. He goes, well, where do you suggest I stay if I want to come float at your resort, but I can't stay at your resort? I was like, well, I mean, there's interstates, hotels at the interstate 3 miles up the road. There's also Loretta Lynn's Ranch, who we work well with, and they usually have cabins most likely going to be sold out too because, I mean, people booked these cabins months ago,
Yeah.
It's July, And then I said, we also offer tent camping. And his response back to that was like, he goes, yeah, I don't like to tent camp. I was like, well, hotels at the interstate, I guess. And he sent back, he goes, well, I'll just find somewhere else to float. I'm like, man, I said, I hate to hear that. I think you'd really enjoy our floats. I was like, but I said maybe next year if you want to book July, go ahead and book in May because that's when they book. I was like, I'm sorry, hopefully we are in the process of building more cabins. I said the other option would be to get an RV. You can get an RV rental from an RV rental company around here, and we have RV hookups too if you don't want to do primitive camping. And I said, I think you'll really enjoy your experience. I hope you come and spend some time with us soon.
I bet that guy doesn't like me because he sounds like an idiot. I'm just throwing that out there from the last episode.
He definitely don't like you.
But you know what? I'm going to pull that at the next restaurant. I mean, like, what do you mean there's a wait? Why don't you have more tables?
Hey, I just want to say something.
Other people made reservations. I don't
want to bring
care.
something to the attention. Y'all made me bring 3 shirts for 3 different videos. I've worn all 3 different shirts. And I brought a 4th one just in case.
But you've been wearing the same overalls for 5 years.
True. But I'm just letting it be known.
You know what? But that guy that you were just talking about, I think, is a great segue of what we were talking about. Because that seems like someone who's
hang on, we got to introduce this podcast.
We already did. You weren't around.
I was on my phone.
Oh, all right, give everybody your introduction. Let's go.
Hey, welcome to the Refined Life Podcast. I'm Bigg Vinny. That's Jeff Suter. And that's Jared Blake. And I just want you to know that if you listen long enough, you will get erect. Edit.
I didn't know what's going on.
Whoa.
So back to
you have to cut that one out.
No,
back to
absolutely
the
not. Yeah, absolutely not.
back to the idiot that didn't know that he had to make reservations for a camp was upset that you were out of spaces because everybody else did make reservations.
Right.
It sounds like someone who doesn't have a lot of gratitude.
Yeah.
What are our other G's? Go ahead.
Grit, grind, gratitude.
Of which it seems like he had none of those.
None of them.
Yeah. He should have grinded a little harder so he could get that thing booked earlier.
Erect.
He would have. Now he has to erect a tent, and if he wants to stay on our property.
Tell us about grit, grind, and gratitude.
Yeah. So, it's them are the 3 G's that I try to focus on in my everyday life, right? Like I've got to show my grit. I've got to have my grit to keep going, because there's days where I wake up and feel like I don't get to, which leads into the gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the grind. I mean, life's just not easy, right? Like in prior episodes with like Chef Alex, I mean, Bigg Vinny, prime example. Like waking up 5 a.m., getting to the gym, getting that
Just
done.
have someone tell you you're fat on Facebook.
Exactly. So,
you worthless, pathetic person! How dare you get up at 4 o'clock and be at the gym by 5?
But I think gratitude just makes life better.
Yeah,
and I think it's important for everyone to practice having gratitude. Right? It's the Steve Harvey TikTok of you get to, you don't got to.
Yeah.
Right. And just that simple mindset shift is a complete life game changer. Dude should have been happy you're booked out.
Yeah.
Period. Like frustrated for himself for not being more proactive.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
he's trying to book.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
You're booked out for the month.
Well,
of
I
July.
don't know him. I don't know him on a personal level, but it's just always weird to me because we've had there's always some funny situations, and I just handle them with kindness. I'm just like, hey man, sorry to hear that. A person yesterday, we posted a picture of our what's it called? The apartment. The apartment is a 2-bedroom. It's got bunk beds on one side, a king size bed. It's got its own, marble floor, shower. Like it's nice, kitchen, all this stuff. And we posted on there, and he goes, I can't believe this thing is $652 a night. Which I reply back and say, it's not $652 a night. It's $250 a night. He goes, I just looked it up. It was $656 for a night. I was like, no. I said, what you're looking at is the weekend rate. That's for the entire weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday day. You don't have to check out till like 12 or 1 or something like that. I was like, and that also is with the cleaning fee and taxes and everything else. I was like, and that's for the apartment, which is a 2-bedroom and sleeps 6 people. And he was trying to say it was for one of our cabins, which is just they're like studio cabins.
Right.
I think they're like 145 or 165 a night, which is equal to most hotel rooms now.
Yeah.
And you get your own, has the full kitchen, all this stuff. And he kept posting on the thing, and I kept, correcting him. He's like, and of course, I didn't realize I was replying from Vincent Van Zandt instead of Buffalo River Resort because I saw it pop up on my page. And he gets on there, he goes, why are you acting like you know everything? You think you're the owner or something? I said, I just realized I'm answering from my personal account. Yes, I am one of the owners. And I was just trying to correct it because you're telling people on our post that got huge interaction on that post because it was, it's a beautiful place. He goes, I was just trying to correct it because you're scaring people away from our business by saying that it's something that it's not, I said, so I was just trying to correct you on, the fact that it's not that, Boy, he got so mad. I was like, how are you still getting mad? Like you posted something that was way off on the numbers, But anyways, it was just funny to see those mistakes that happen and stuff. And if I didn't have any grit and any grind in me, I wouldn't have caught that, And then there would be people coming to that and they're reading his top comment.
And on the flip side, I can tell you that whenever I get mad for no reason, I'm not living in gratitude.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen.
I very rarely get mad if I'm grateful for what's going on in my life.
Yeah. The gratitude is probably the biggest part of it to me because you can have grit and grind, but if you don't have the gratitude, if you're not thankful, if you're not gracious with people and all that kind of stuff, you can grit and grind all you want to, and you'll end up in a bad spot. You know what I mean? So when you talk about grit, to me, I think about you got to get dirty. You got to be willing to jump in there when stuff goes wrong and get your hands dirty. And if you're the CEO or if you're the guy that just joined today that's working in whatever that job is. And I think when you have the guys that are like that, that will come in and they'll say, look, I don't care what I got to do, I want to help. I want to learn how to do every job at this place. That's people that got grit. They're not afraid to get dirty.
What do you think fuels that grit? Gratitude.
It's Rockstar energy drinks.
Rockstar energy drinks. No. You can be a sponsor right here on this table. No, I think it's so weird to me because I've seen even in my life, and we talked about this on an earlier episode, but two people can grow up the exact same way and have completely different work ethic, completely different ways that they take life. And so it's interesting to me. I don't think there's a formula for it. I think you kind of just like it's born into you when you have that grind that you're like, dude, I'm going to make it work. To me, the grind is like, I've been trying and everything I've tried so far has failed. But if I keep grinding, I will find the way that works. And I think, when you deal with people in all walks of life, some people will tell you every way that it's not going to work. And then people that grind are going to find the one way that it does.
Fact.
And I've had that happen in situations in business with people where I'm like, dude, I want to do this. Well, that won't work because of this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, but it will work if we do this. Yeah, but what if it all goes the other way? I'm like, it won't if we do this. Because you found the one way that would work. And you can only find that if you're grinding. So keep on grinding it out.
And it's also, you could, positive versus negative there too,
Yeah.
right? Like there's some people in life that just see the worst case in everything, and they have a very, very hard time finding a positive in anything at all, right? No matter what. Yeah. And I think that stems from a place of gratitude as well.
Yeah.
Like most grateful people can find a positive in anything.
Yeah.
For the most part. Not saying we don't have bad moments.
Yeah. But most of the time we learn something from those bad moments. We all make mistakes. We all mess up. We're human. But if you can look back 5 years from now, in the moment you may not be able to find that gratitude for it. But 5 years from now, you might be sitting there and be like, dude, if that hadn't happened, it wouldn't have led me to this. And then you gain that gratitude 5 years later.
I've never, ever had a trouble with the grit or grind part of things. Gratitude, definitely have had that before. And what I find that the older I get, the more gratitude I keep, the more grateful I am for what's going on in my life, the less that the grit and grind feels like a grit and grind. It does change what you were talking about. It changes from I got to do this to I get to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, I don't know how much of this is just entering my 40s, but there's a huge part of me that looks around and like, I'm capable of doing these things.
Right, yeah.
I was given a talent, or I was given just strength, just your physical body itself of like, man, my life is so much easier than a lot of people. And it's a silly little thing to think, but like the other day, I was putting a bunch of drywall in the back of the truck, and 2 sheets of drywall. They're pretty decently heavy, but I was just tired and I didn't want to mess with it, and so I picked 2 up at a time, put them back in the truck, 2, put them back in the truck, and I get to the job site, and I tell Cash, he's been working for us, my youngest. And I said, hey, man, come out here and help me get this stuff out. And he was like, man, this stuff's heavy. And I was like, you should have seen me load it by myself. And he was like, you loaded this by yourself? And it hit me in that moment of like, I forget and I'm not grateful for those moments of just having the physical strength that I just got to decide, I don't feel like messing with this. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And just do it and move on. There's so many things in our lives that we just naturally have as gifts that you, for some reason, get out of that gratitude bit because you never look at the people that don't have what you have. You look at the people who have more than what you have. And what's even stranger is like, I could look at Vinny and be like, yeah, but Vinny's so much stronger than me. But then Vinny will tell you like, well, I can't build squat, So like we don't look at the fact that we have all these different talents and this person may be really good at this, but they don't have your other talents. We just go, well, this person's better than me and this person's better than me and this and we get this negative attitude. That's my issues. I'll focus on this person's better than me. And other people take, like, oh, well, you just think you're better than me. And they start, playing things down, and talking crap about people to build themselves up. But so for me, the gratitude part is the hard part. That's the one that I have to stay grounded on and really remind myself. And what's crazy about it is that everybody sitting at this table have amazing freaking lives and tons of people around them that love them.
Yeah.
Why would I ever have to make a gratitude list or think about that? Why? Yeah. How do I take that for granted?
Yeah. No, it's a special place to be. I think it's awesome that you're keenly aware of the fact that you have to practice that to an extent, because some people don't take that moment to say, shit, I haven't been full of gratitude today or in this moment.
Well, those couple rehabs, they beat that into me.
It makes me think back, and this is something that came to me my senior year. I thought I was going to go to the NFL. From the second I stepped on the football field, I was a starter. Never in my life did I go and practice all week long and then not get to play. So make a 13 on my ACT. And I was going to go to MTSU. Coach Andy McCullum was still here. He came to see me, and I was not 6'4" like my coach had told him, but I was very strong, and I was very slow. But I was going to be playing center, and coach had convinced him I was 6'4", so he'd come out to see me do my bench press and do my 40 time and do all this other stuff. And he's like, man, he goes like, I weighed 370 my senior year. He's like, we can get you some weight down. We think we could really utilize you as a center. He was just like, we just need to get you a little faster. So we start talking about potential scholarships, if that could happen or not, and when he gets to talking to me, he's like, you at least got to make a 19 on your ACT to be eligible. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I made a 13. So then my path to be able to play football became very different, because now all of a sudden he's like, you're going to have to redshirt, if you want to get him here, and you're going to have to do that with no scholarship. So you're going to have to redshirt, you're going to have to pay for all your college, which I had nothing. I was like, I was living already on my own by the time I was this age. And where gratitude first hit me, because I thought about it, I was like, dude, am I really going to go put in all those hours of practice in the hot sun, the grit and the grind part, to not even get to feel the spoils of war on, Saturday night, I guess, when you go to high school, Friday night high school, Saturday night in college. But here's where it gave me gratitude. I think back to my buddy Alex Richardson, and we used to call him Penguin. They called me Pig. He was Penguin. He was my little buddy.
A lot of nicknames in his life.
Yeah, a lot of nicknames.
He's from the South.
Not just him, but everybody.
Everybody around me.
Yeah.
My best friend's name was Hedge. We called him Shrub sometime. Anyway. But I gained this gratitude because I'm like, I talked, sitting there looking at Alex. Alex come to practice every day. He ran all the same rolling wind sprints that I did in the cattle trails, and, put on the fully black uniform in the middle of, 95 to 105 degree weather, drink out of the plastic PVC pipe with a hot water hose running to it, that, and of course, the smart ones would say, yeah, all y'all go first. And then we'd wait for the cold water to come through, But it gave me so much gratitude for him because he did all that same work I did and never got to see the field. But he still went out there and he grinded it out, and he had all the same grit and all that other stuff, and he didn't get to enjoy that. And so a few years back, I really got to thinking about Alex, and I called him, and I said, man, I just want to know something. Like, what was it in you that made you still show up every single time, even though you really didn't get to play much? And when he finally got a couple of plays in our senior year and all that, he played all 4 years, loved it. I said, what was it that kept you out there, even though knowing you just weren't getting to play really? And he said, man, I was just so proud that I got to put on that jersey every Friday and wear it up and down the halls. And I got to get on the bus with you and Hedge, and I got to travel, to the games, and I got to have this brotherhood, this, fellowship with people that I looked up to y'all.
Yeah.
And he goes, to me, it was, that gratitude of, I just enjoyed having something I was a part of. Whereas for me, it's like, I was so concerned about winning. I was so concerned about, dude, we got to make the state. We got to go to playoffs. We got to do this. And if we weren't doing that, then it wasn't good enough, And so it was a very humble experience for me, and showed me how to gain gratitude in the experience. And like you said earlier, the journey that you're on, it's like, it's the, Miley Cyrus, it's the climb. He was just out there enjoying the climb. And it didn't matter that the destination didn't end up with him being at the spotlight, and all this other stuff. It was like, man, I'm glad I'm out here with brothers that got my back.
Yeah.
That we're out here running in the hot sun together, and at the end of the day, I get to put on this jersey and walk around the high school and be part of something that's bigger than just me by myself.
Perfect teammate.
Oh, yeah. Dude, he was great. I mean, he'd get out there, he'd do all the drills, he'd do everything, and, and boy, I never forget, he got in. We had new freshmen coming in, and he was just so lit up that he was like, I'm about to light these dudes up, because we were seniors this year. And he got out there, and what was the freshman? I'm trying to think of his name.
Got lit up by the first freshman.
Got lit up, dude. Knocked him on his butt, and he just got back up. He goes, I'll get him next time. I mean, he's very similar to me, just has that positive attitude. But like I said, it was like learning that gratitude at that age, really helped me cater my life to being more about, dude, I'm just going to enjoy the process. I'm going to enjoy the fact that I'm out here and I'm doing everything I can, giving it all I got. And even if it doesn't end up exactly where I thought it might end up or might be, the fact that I was in the game, that I was out there, I was doing the things I loved, and I gave it my best shot. Because I think so many people, what was the quote I heard the other day? There's a lot of potential in the graveyard. There's a lot of people that are in that graveyard that never even tried to do something they could have been great at because they were so scared of failure.
Yeah.
And so people was like, oh, you should never be afraid. I think it's okay to be afraid as long as your fear of failure is stronger than your fear of regret, you know, or your fear of regret is stronger than your fear of failure. Because I don't want to go to my grave. I don't want to look at my kids one day and be like, man, you know, your dad could have been something if he'd have tried that. If I'd have just tried, I think I could have done it.
Yeah.
I'm going to either know that no, you couldn't, or yes, you did. You know, that's the way I feel about it. So grit, grind, and gratitude. I'm going to be gratitude and gracious for that. So
I think one of the things I've learned through life, mistake-wise, right? Like we'll use divorce as an example.
Yeah.
Because we've all been there, as discussed. Looking back on moments like that in life where in that moment it's not good, right? Like it's just you feel like a failure. It's not something you ever thought you'd be signing up for. Looking back on that, I can find gratitude in that situation because I've had so many people need help through similar situations.
Yeah.
Advice through similar situations.
Yep.
And oddly enough, because I find gratitude in going through that, my answer is not get divorced. Yeah. That's never my answer. My answer is never you should get divorced.
Yeah.
It's what could you be doing better to make your situation better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, let's walk through this, right? But if I'm just an angry man who hasn't found any gratitude in the life lessons that God has put upon my life,
right,
I can't help the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. And it's also when you can, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was talking about earlier is like sometimes you don't see that, you know, it might have been the last episode, but you don't see until 5 years from now why you went through that. And then you have to go back and relive it because you're giving advice to somebody. You know, we all got kids, you know.
Yeah.
And God forbid, I hope my son gets married and the first one is the one he loves for the rest of his life and he never has to go through anything. I hope he never gets his heart broke. I mean, my wife would probably kill the person that breaks his heart. I don't know because he's mama's little boy. We can just call him mama's boy, but in a good way, you know. But you know, at some point, if he gets his heart broke, you know, because I've been through heartbreak, I'll know how to help him navigate that.
Yeah.
You know, and so when you've been through something, my dad was a preacher in his later life, but he overdosed on black tar heroin whenever he was come off the road with David Allen Cole. But he said, as he was laying there, he said, God, if you'll deliver me from this, I'll serve you the rest of my days. He could see his body. He said that. Wakes up the next day, no withdrawals, no addiction, none of this other stuff. But because he went through all this, and he became a preacher, just like he said he would, he served God the rest of his days until he passed away 16 years ago. He could get to so many people that other preachers couldn't because he knew how to talk to a guy that was a drug addict because he had been a drug addict.
Yeah.
He knew how to talk to somebody that had, you know, cheated or done all these other things because he had done it. You know, and he knew how to help them get through that and make them still realize that even though you've done all these bad things, God still loves you. Jesus is, you know, still your Savior, just like he's my Savior, just like he's the person that's done very little wrong in their life, or at least very little got caught wrong in their life.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was so important to have, you know, somebody that has had experience with a negative to be able to come and teach you something, you know, when you're having a negative.
That's powerful.
You know, one of the ones that hit me was, and I think this is in a few episodes ago, that you opened us up in prayer because I'd had a hard week.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if we ever really discussed what happened that week. I don't know if we just prayed and moved on. But
I don't think we went into it. Yeah.
Briefly, what happened is a friend of mine, military, PTSD, committed suicide. And I had to deal with some of that so that the family didn't have to. And that was the hard part of the week. But, you know, I called a couple of guys over at Creative Vet, Richard and those guys, because I realized I came home that night after cleaning up my buddy's truck. And my wife was like, do you need to talk about this? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And she was like, you sure? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I immediately just went on about life. And she was like, you know, you talk about everything. You nonstop talk.
Yeah.
You don't see anything wrong with, like, the fact that you don't need to talk about this, what you just saw today? And that hit me. I was like, yeah, I do. But I think that, you know, I can talk to you a little bit, but I should probably talk to someone else about it. Because it hit me like I was doing the very thing that I'd talked to all these veterans about not doing. Like, don't hold that in, you know?
Yeah.
And so I called Richard and those guys over at Creative Vets, and I was like, hey, man, I just need to talk to someone about this. And he came back and he said it was one of the worst days of my life going through that. And he brought up, he said, but what you have to give veterans that are now going through things is a whole nother level, a whole nother way that you get to speak to them now.
Wow.
And seeing gratitude in something like that was huge to me. And those little moments you have in your life of being able to see gratitude in horrible moments, it is one of the things that starts to make me just happier every day, to where you can wake up and you're grateful for things without having to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm almost, because of the things that I've went through in my life and where I'm at today, there's not a single day of my life. You can ask my wife. There's not a single day in my life that I don't tell her, I love my life. Thank you for being a part of this with me. Like, I wake up, no matter what goes on, I still wake up almost in awe of how great my life is. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get in those spots at different times of the day where I'm like, well, he's got more and he's got more and that happened and why don't I have this, But still, my overall mood and my thought of the day is, man, I've been so incredibly blessed. Yeah. And I know that that's easy for other people to look at that have less. It's easy for them to look at you and go, well, of course you feel happy because you have this and this and this. But I'm going to tell you for sure, at the peak of my successes or worldly successes, that wasn't when I was happy. At the peak of my money, that wasn't when I was happy. At the peak of fame, that's not when I was happy. Yeah. When I became happy was when I went, this is my life. This is where I am. I'm going to enjoy my day, and I'm going to look for the things in my day that make me happy. And, not in that new world shit, do whatever makes you happy, crap. You still got responsibilities, and you don't get to just go out and be whatever you want to be without that grit, grind, and gratitude, right? Yeah. So I think this is a huge subject for today's age, because in a world right now where we literally have decided you get to be whatever you choose to be, whether it's factual or not, just because you decided it.
Yeah.
And a world where we know that Instagram is fake, and yet we still believe it for some reason.
Fact.
That we know that's not actually someone's life, but yet we still get invested in that. I mean, it's a really weird spot that we're in right now. And it's like,
I had a friend of mine open up to me the other day and said, man, I'm struggling. I was like, man, you look like you're crushing it on Instagram. He goes, yeah, because that's what you're supposed to do on Instagram. He goes, but man, I'm hurting. I'm broke. I got, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this hole I'm in. I'm like, I would have never known, And so I think it's important to remember that Instagram and Facebook and some of this stuff it's a snapshot of the good stuff that happens. Now I'm not telling you to go in there and be like the people that cry on the internet and, say everything's bad and tell you every single problem that's going on.
That's a good one. And just for the viewers or listeners, I want you to know that your prayer just between you and God works just as well as praying it openly on Facebook. Yeah. It may even be a more direct line. I don't know. But I would encourage you to.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody deals with things differently, but it is always weird to me when somebody's like literally live crying on live Facebook or Instagram Live, and I'm like, because part of me, I get called and I'm like, dude, are you okay? Do I need to call you?
Live isn't as weird as when it's a post, because you had to cry on video and then record it. Yeah, I should definitely release that.
I don't know. It just, I mean, I'm a crier. Most of the time when I cry, it's about something sentimental or happy or this, that, I get excited, emotional, and I'm just that kind of dude. And
I cry more than anybody in my family, probably.
Yeah. I let my emotions out.
What's my favorite song y'all sing?
Ain't No Grave.
Makes me cry.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just brings it out of me. Like,
it's emotional.
Hair stand up on my arms and I feel them emotions come up. It's a cool feeling.
I think the song that does that for me is Fear is a Liar. And which I think a lot of those lines in that song come from Ain't No Grave. If you really listen to the lyrics back and forth, there's a lot of similar lyrics in there. But every time Jared sings it when he's on stage with me, he'll see me. Like, it gets me emotional. Yeah. And that's why I love music, man. You know, I'm have a lot of gratitude for music. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's you know, like I said, I anybody, however you deal with and you process your thing is it. And you know, but if there are people out there that's struggling, I'm always an open book. You know, if you want to message me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you know, I've had people randomly message me out of the blue that have dealt with weight issues and stuff, and like, man, how do you handle this? I just feel like I'm nothing. You know, I've had them tell me they've thought about suicide, all that kind of stuff, and I drop everything I'm doing and I stop. And I was like, I'm going to help this person right now, even though I may not even know them. They might have been a fan of the show, of Biggest Loser, or whatever. I just try to spend that time with them because you never know when you might be the only Bible they ever read.
Well,
You might
dude.
be the only person they have to talk to.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude, Alex in the last episode, he brought up, if you've got the ability to help, then you need help. And that's one of the things that I know that all three of us very much live for. If you've got any sort of stature to help, if you've got the finances to help, if you've got the fame to help, if you've got the talent to help, it's on you. I mean, like, I think we forget so much right now in this day and age. Like, I think back to like we the people. And we expect so much out of our government, so much about just other people doing stuff, and you forget it's we the people, man. It's not them take care of us. It's us take care of us. And the best way we can take care of each other is to love and support each other. You know, there's a lot of things out there that people are doing that I don't agree with. At the same time, I don't really care either. That's your freedom. That's your right. My freedoms are my rights too. You know, like I think we were talking about this earlier about a drummer, Fess, comes out of a club one night not long ago, and this guy's holding a sign that says F Biden. And immediately, some of the people he's with got all pissed off about, that he's holding. I can't believe he'd say something like that. And he was like, but dude, you can also hold an F Trump sign.
Yeah.
Like, do you not get the beauty in that, the freedom?
Yeah.
Like, talk about being grateful for something. Try going over to another country and talking crap about the king.
Yeah.
See what happens, man.
Openly
Like,
in public.
Openly, right. I mean, like, we have become a nation that we're so ungrateful for what we have. We can't even comprehend freedom.
Yeah.
We can't comprehend that you literally were born into a nation.
Yeah.
That you're encouraged to get an education no matter what race or
Religion
or religion or anything else. Yeah. You have everything. Even the poorest of our nation still has the world right there.
It's hard to stop and really understand that we could have been born in another country. We take that like super for granted. We've lost all gratitude just in that one thing. Like, could you imagine?
One of my favorite arguments of
born
that,
in another
people
country?
will say, well, I mean, there's other countries that are free as well, and they got this and they got that, and they'll say all this stuff. I was like, who protects that country?
That's a good one,
That's one of my
but
favorite
also,
ones but
one of the
who
ones
watches
that
over that country?
One of the ones that people like to bring up is like Austria and how everything's a lot more balanced there. But if you watch that documentary
The Arnold
with
one?
Arnold,
Yeah.
I mean, because he brings that up, he's like, Austria is very balanced like that. He was like, but America, you can have anything you want.
Yeah.
And he talks about how he came over in the 80s, and that was kind of the beginning phase of what we're looking
I
at
just
now
watched
in
it last
society.
night, the first couple episodes.
And they're talking about, how America was starting to hate itself, and they were starting to not understand what they have. And Arnold was like, I come over here, and I could just look at all I can be, look at all I can do, and look
And
at
he did
all
it.
you're wasting away.
he did it all.
And he did it.
Right, absolutely. He's like, look at all you're wasting on complaining about everybody else. I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we talk about when we go to the schools and stuff. We talk a lot about don't be a victim of your circumstance. And I think it's important for people to realize, like, your situation may suck, and it may not be an easy path out of that situation, whatever it is, regardless of where you were born, where you're at. But just because it's hard doesn't mean that you shouldn't still make a way out of it, And what's worse than being a victim of your circumstance is being a victim of your parents' circumstance or your grandparents' circumstance. And people let that, that same thing repeat itself. And, for me, I didn't want those things to be me doing that. I wanted my kids to have a different life. I wanted to have a different life. I wanted to show, other people that it is possible, no matter what you came from, no matter what you started off at, you can change. And by the way, a lot of people don't want to hear this, but a lot of that path comes because along that path, you're going to have to give forgiveness to the people that did you wrong.
Yeah.
And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. you don't know how to give them forgiveness at first, but then you just remember, like, God sent his only son to die on the cross so that we could be here. And it wasn't just like, oh, he just died. No, he was crucified. They made up a whole new word to say what happened to him, you know? So he was crucified. It went through the worst death that, you know, that they could think of. And it was for our sins. It was for my sins, your sins. And so if God can say, hey, I'm sacrificing my son to give you a way to get into heaven, to give you the only way that you can get into heaven, then you can forgive that person that physically abused you, sexually abused you, all those things. It's not, I'm not telling you it's easy, but you have to figure out how to forgive them, because if you don't, then you carry that poison with you. And the old saying is, you know, unforgiveness is like drinking the poison and waiting for it to kill the other person.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean you got to hang out with them and be their best friend or any of that other stuff, but you're giving them forgiveness. A lot of times it's not because you want them to have peace, but it's because it gives you peace, you know?
You know, you bring up something like me and Cash were talking about this the other day, because he was talking about some different motivational speakers and how they really pushed on the fact of, you know, don't be that victim.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some people would look at that and be like, yeah, well, we need to talk about what's going on. We need to talk about our feelings. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
For sure, like, I've got go-to people in my life that I talk about different specific things because I know I need to get that off my chest. But sharing that with the rest of the world isn't necessarily it. And the reality is that if I spent my time letting everyone else know why I was a victim, that grit and grind's gone. Now I'm putting grit and grind into letting you know how I've been done wrong.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that, man. I want to get past whatever I've done wrong and whatever's going wrong. So if there's something going on, I'm pretty quick I would call you, Vinny. I mean, just you'll call someone and be like, "Hey, man, this pissed me off, and this is what's going on." Blah, 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 blah. And normally, like Jared Weeks' phrase every time was, "Well, what you gonna do about it?" You know, like, and that was it. You know, it's like you get that out, move on. I don't need to keep talking about how I got done wrong. I want to figure out a way around that. I do not have time for that.
Yeah. And I think we've seen that. We've had situations and stuff, and if a person will feel like they've been done wrong, and then the next day they're still talking about it, you know, even though if everybody else has moved on from whatever that situation was, and everybody said, "Hey, man," even if people have apologized, and, "Man, I'm sorry, I lost my cool yesterday. It was a stressful situation." But that person that's still sitting there, "Well, you did this to me yesterday." Yeah, I also said I was wrong, said I was sorry. I don't know how we can go back and fix it. That it happened, but now we're trying to move on from that. So, you know, like I said, I'm not saying, you know, some situations, you know, the situation I'm talking about, some situations are easier to move on from than others, but I truly think that to grow your life better, to do anything, it's like you have to forgive those people and you have to let it go. You know, and letting it go is probably the hardest part. Unless you're a big fan of, you know, Frozen, then you can just sing "Let It Go" all day. But letting it go can be the hardest part, because you could say, "I forgive you," but if you didn't really forgive them, then it's still just sitting there nagging on your heart, and you have this bitterness, and bitterness is just, it's a killer, man. I mean, it will stop your dreams in its tracks. It'll stop everything you're doing in its tracks if you're just sitting there bitter about other people's success, bitter about something that happened to you, you know, 35 years ago. If I was sitting here in my adult life, bad stuff happened to me until I was 12 years old, you know, with my stepdad. I turned 40 this month, you know, whenever this episode comes out. I turned 40 June 28th. So if I was still sitting here blaming every single thing that I did wrong, if I was sitting here blaming every single thing that I did wrong, every mistake that I made, everything that ever went wrong in my life on what happened in the first 12 years of my life, then I'm losing in life, because there's other stuff that's happened that might have led me to making a bad decision or this or that. Everybody has different temptations, different fears, different goals, different things in their life. And if you're constantly going to blame that person and put it back on them, you know, if I was to go back, my mom, I love my mom. She really has a lot of phenomenal qualities and has a lot of good in her, and she would do anything to help anybody. She made some mistakes when we were kids, but if I continue to hold that over her head 30 years now, you know, or 28 years past when the last time it kind of happened, if I hold that against her forever, she constantly is reminded about her mistakes.
Yeah.
And she can't get better and move forward if I'm constantly reminding her of all the things that she messed up on, that she already feels guilty about, that she already has this pain in her about. And then my situation is I'm not moving on because I'm just sitting there dangling this carrot like, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. Instead of focusing on how can I make everything better? How can I make sure that my kids have this great life? How can I make sure that I change the trajectory of where I started off? I started off on this was going to be my life. Rock bottom, flat line.
Yeah.
But at some point, I decided to go, no, I'm going to do a little bump here, and then I'm going to build a couple steps out of these rocks, and I'm going to build a few more steps out of these rocks. And the next thing you know, I've built this mansion on the hill, And I'm still trying to get the mansion on the hill. But I'm just saying, it's like,
But he's got a lot of rocks.
but I do have a lot of rocks. So have you ever dug down in Tennessee? You dig far enough, you'll find some rocks.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that he got.
Yeah.
He's still Vinny from the block.
I'm still Vinny from the block. That's
Oh, it just happened.
but we're going there, baby. But anyway, I mean, this is probably the most serious we've been for the most amount of time, but I think it's great because I think this kind of thing really helps people put stuff in perspective. And, what was the Tim Tebow line? Perspective is a hard thing to gain and an easy thing to lose.
Yeah.
We always look at things from our standpoint, what we went through, what happened to us, not realizing that the person that might have caused you that pain or might have done you wrong, what was their story? What was they going through? And so when I was on Biggest Loser and they had me go back and talk about that, they're like, what was it that your mom went through? You need to forgive her. What did she go through? Well, her mom died giving birth to my aunt when she was 3. She moved in when her dad left. She moved in with my granny. My granny worked at Mary's Bridal all the time, so they were basically just home by themselves a lot of times, or go to school during the day and come home, be there. Didn't really have a father figure, anybody around. Dirt poor, didn't hardly have nothing, And what do? What is it? Idle hands are the devil's playground. My mom ends up getting pregnant at 15, gets married to that guy, gets divorced from him, marries my dad, has me at 17, has my sister at 18. By the time she's 19 years old, she's raising 3 kids. She's divorced again, marries this dude that's a drug dealer. He beats the crap out of her, but took us all under his wing and did all this stuff. Divorces him, marries again, divorces him, marries again, divorces him, marries and we'll get into that situation later. But it's like this woman has been through the mill, dude. It's like she had a lot of bad stuff happen to her. He was also beating the crap out of her. So it's like you're trying to hold this all over her head, but she was going through hell long before you were even born,
Yep.
So it's like, forgive that person. Understand that, man, she had it worse than you did. So maybe she was giving you the best she could. And that's what really Biggest Loser, once the Dr. Hogan talked to me, it made me realize, like, dude, I know it sucks what you went through, but stop to think about what she has already been going through for all those years, and she was going through the other stuff right there with you,
I think the key and part of this is I feel like a big part of the country right now is victimhood is put on a pedestal and it's given huge validation. Whereas you had somebody that doesn't really exist for the public right now, at least doesn't seem to say, wait. We're not, yes, you went through some shit, but we're not going to sit here and validate the way you're reacting to it.
Yeah.
You need to recognize what led to this and make a change. Whereas today's world seems to be like, yeah, Vinny, keep eating McDonald's because you went through some shit.
Body positivity, hashtag body positivity.
I mean, that was always one of the issues that I had, with going on the serious side of, joking around rehab and stuff. Going in is that coming out of rehab and then announcing that you're an addict or a recovering addict was always so dumbfounding to me that it was like, so now I've got this image, I've got this name that you've given me, when all the rest of you are doing the same crap, just on different things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we take this all out of context, and it's still like, so for some reason, whatever I was going through and whatever whatever source I used to try to get over that wasn't acceptable. But you could venture into all sorts of other, as long as you didn't admit that you have a problem.
Yeah.
You can keep that problem.
Yeah.
You can stay right there with everybody else.
Well, and I think a lot of people, when they do end up in rehab or prison or wherever, for me, people don't look at it like this, but I ended up at Biggest Loser, which was literally a rehab for people that were addicted to food, and whatever else. But that's where I ended up. And I think a lot of people, when they end up in rehab, just because it has this like negative connotation of, oh man, he had to go to rehab. You ended up in a place that could help you get out of the place that you ended up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I was doing all these things and I messed up my life, and I hit this wall. And I couldn't get through this wall because this was the wall that said, no, you got to do something different. And you get back out here. Now you come out of that rehab and you're feeling good about yourself. And he just got out of rehab. You be careful with him. And the next thing you know, they make a turn and they go right back to rehab again. And then they get out and they make that turn. Same thing with Joe, the guy that works for our resort. This dude's in prison. I didn't want to give him a chance because he had the tattoos on his face. I'm like, I don't know about this guy, And I was prejudging him because of the way he looked and because of what he had been through, but I didn't really know his story. So finally one day, I talked to Miss Carol. I was like, I just don't know if we can keep him. I mean, people seeing him, they're going to get a little freaked out, when they walk in and there's like the first guy they see is this dude with tattoos all over his face and, looks like he's right out of the, gangs and stuff.
Yeah.
And she goes, Vinny, he's the hardest worker I've ever had. Please don't, let me keep it. He works so hard. He can fix anything. He can do anything. He's awesome. So I'll watch him. And this dude's working. He's on the tractor. Hydraulic line breaks. He's out there replacing the hydraulic line. Toilet gets messed up in the bathhouse. He's in there switching out a toilet. Doorknobs are breaking off. He's doing that. Somebody ripped the stall off the bathroom door. He's back there putting the bathroom door stall back on. I'm like, dude, this guy's great. He can do anything. So I finally decided to sit down and talk with him. I'm like, hey, man, you're good at everything. Like, why did you end up in jail? He's like, well, and then he tells his story. Well, dad left, was trying to help his mom, trying to feed himself and other kids that didn't have a lot of money. He found a way to do it by slinging dope. So he slings dope. Money's coming in. Everything's going good. He gets caught. Bam, goes to jail. Gets a face tattoo. First one, comes out of jail, that kind of thing. Nobody wants to give him a chance. So he's trying to make money, trying to do it the honest way, but nobody will give him a chance. So bam, he ends up back selling dope again. Gets caught again, ends up in jail again. And that cycle went on for a long time. Now he's, I think he's 37 or 38 years old. And I'm sitting there having this conversation with him. And I realized, I'm like, it's because the way I was being, people weren't giving him a chance to do better and be better. Even though he'd already served his time and went through all this, stuff. He's like, man, he got in trouble. He served his time. He's out. Should we continue to persecute that person for what they did wrong? Or should we say, hey, let's help this person become an active member of society? And I get that there's a lot of times people are going to come out and they're going to do stuff, and it's hard to give people chances. But give this guy a chance. Dude, he's been working for us for almost 2 years. He gets out in November of this year. He don't even know it yet. But we're
don't give it away. You don't know when this episode's going to air, and you don't know if he's going to watch you.
You think he's going to be hearing this?
I don't know.
Shit, he might need to come on, tell a story.
Oh, yeah, I ain't going to tell you then. We'll wait to further continuation.
So I was at a huge mastermind at an event called $1 Million Mastermind a couple weeks ago, and I feel like it was Brad Lee who was on the stage, and he used an example of how people say cheater's always a cheater, thief's always a thief. A cheetah spots don't change. And he said, we're not fucking cheetahs. We're humans.
Yeah.
We have the ability to change as
Right.
humans. That's the way God created us, is with the ability to make the decision to change.
Yeah.
And it starts with some gratitude, but it's like you're saying, I mean, you were on that prejudge, but when you stopped for a minute.
And talked to him and just found out, like, why was he here? Well, because people like me were not giving this dude a chance, And it's really opened up my eyes. So it's like I try to see the good in everybody there. And there's no doubt when you try to see the good in everybody, you'll find some good. And that doesn't mean that they're ready to be all good. They might be having a good moment. Some people have bad moments. Some people are bad and they have good moments.
Like people forget, they're like, listen, when you're giving someone a chance, you ain't got to invite them in your house with your kids.
Yeah.
We didn't say do all that. We didn't say give them your pin to the bank account or anything. We're just saying, like, look, give them a chance,
I mean, opportunity, helps create purpose. If you get an opportunity and you start to see something good happening.
And purpose is what everybody's looking for.
Yeah.
They may not know it. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, purpose gives you a reason to not want to go back to the drugs. Purpose gives you a reason to not want to make the bad decision at this time. It doesn't mean you're never going to make bad decisions. We all make stupid decisions,
Daily.
Daily. You just, you're going to do something at some point in the day. You're like, I probably shouldn't have done that, And whether it's, me the other day, it's like, went out with my wife. I had physical therapy. I've really been trying to focus on my diet, my meal plan, and all this other stuff. Get done with physical therapy, meet up with my wife. We hadn't had to have really a date in a while. It's middle of the day, but we had a babysitter because I had physical therapy and she had a hair appointment. So we meet up, and I'd literally already told myself, like, hey, we're going to go to Kava and we're going to get, a healthy meal. Well, my wife loves Indian food. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take her over to her favorite. It's called House of India. It's her favorite little Indian restaurant that she goes. So we go there, and we eat. And at first I was like, I'm just going to do one plate, the rice and the curry. So I did one plate, and I sit there, and they brought out the naan bread, and I was like, all right. So I ate the naan bread, remembering that the way that some people love drugs is the way I love food.
Yeah.
And so I ate one piece of naan bread. Then I ate another piece
It's
of
not
naan
bread, bro.
It's
not bread.
Well, actually, naan means bread, so you're saying bread. Did you know that? Chai means tea, so you're saying TT. Just letting you know.
TT.
Anyway, TT.
He said TT.
He said TT. But anyway, so I ate way too much than I shouldn't have ate, and I got done, and I was just bloated out, and I felt so terrible about myself. You know what I mean? I just put that on me like, dude, you told yourself you weren't going to do it, but then you did it anyways. And I could have sat there and beat myself up for that for the rest of the day, but I'm like, you know what? You got to just go and not do that.
The irony is I think most people struggle with that same thing.
Yeah.
You just give yourself a harder time than most because of what you've been through.
Yeah.
But I struggle with the same thing going into a Mexican restaurant. Like
I'm not going to touch the chips. I'm not going to touch the chips.
I'm not going to eat the chips because I know I'm going to feel like
Bring me some bean
ass.
dips, some queso dips, some salsa.
For 2 days, I'm not going to sleep good tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel like ass tomorrow and the next day if I go in here and eat these chips.
Yeah.
And then you go in and you eat the damn chips. And you don't just eat the chips, you keep eating the chips.
Yeah.
You're walking out the door, oh, shit, there's still chips. Oh, I got to eat the chips. You know?
Well, and I didn't, when I first come off Biggest Loser, I had no problem sitting down at any table, not eating the bread, not eating the chips. I would fight. I mean, people would literally be like, dude, it ain't going to hurt you. I'm like, no, I would never eat that ever again. And I live so strict by that. I had my meals packed. He can tell you, we went on the road. I had every single thing packed for every single meal that I was doing. It didn't matter if I was on an airplane. I'm opening up a thing of tilapia and rice, and people were getting pissed off. I was like,
Benny tearing open
the seal,
on tuna.
Hey, no, listen, tilapia and rice is worse. I learned to take chicken on the
It's
plane.
not as bad as the broccoli.
Yeah,
that broccoli smell, man.
You open it up, and it's the broccoli when you get gas from broccoli, and then it's a really. But I'm saying I was so strict on myself that I really about drove myself insane. And, that's a hard way to live. And I lived that way for 5 straight years after Biggest Loser. And, I look back now, I'm like, man, I wouldn't have a piece of cake. Like with my first marriage, when we talk about, some of the things that we did, we got to take ownership in our own things we did. I didn't want to even look at a fast food restaurant. I didn't even want to, and I haven't eaten at a fast food restaurant in 12 years, but I didn't even want to. I didn't want to have a piece of cake for a birthday or a celebration. I'm like, just give me a rice cake with some peanut butter on it. Like I was so strict on it. And by default, when I look back now, I realized that put a stress on her of like, well, I can't do it if he's not doing it, and it just made her not happy.
Yeah.
And so, when we take ownership of what we did, I was so meticulous and so on it that I couldn't even let other people around me enjoy the things they were enjoying because it would put me in a bad spot. And you can't be like that. I never have been a drinker. And I've been around a lot of people who are drinkers, and then they get sober, and then they go out, but they can't sit at the table and tell other people, hey, don't drink a beer because I'm not allowed to drink a beer.
Yeah.
So same thing with food. It's like when I had to learn the same thing. It's like when I go out to a restaurant and I'm going to get my piece of salmon with no butter and my broccoli that's been, cooked with no butter and all this other stuff, I can't expect other people around me not to order French fries and cheeseburgers,
Yeah.
So there was a lot of learning to do on that, to learn how to balance that in life. And I think, compromise in a relationship is always something you need, because if you don't compromise and you don't enjoy some moments, you're going to go psycho at some point. So even now when we write meal plans, when we're working with people, they're like, oh my gosh, I've been on my meal plan. I've been doing so good, but I got an anniversary coming up next week. I guess I should just not go out and eat. I'm like, no, it's your anniversary. Go out and enjoy your meal, enjoy it, but the next day get right back on track. And that's where the balance in life comes in. So.
Yeah, I think this healthy discipline is a true superpower.
Yeah,
dude.
You know what I mean? Because discipline is one of the hardest things
it is
to practice and have.
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of times in my life where I had that ridiculous discipline that you can't hold on to. You just get it for a certain amount of time. You're like, yes, I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
And then, like 6 months later, you're like, I'm right back where I was. It's even worse now.
Well, I think that's the problem. You reach that, you dial that discipline in, and you reach that, I'm killing it. And then you feel like, okay, I can dial it back a little bit. dial it back a little bit, and then the next thing you know, you've reeled it
You're
all
right back.
You're right back.
You're right back,
Yeah.
reeled all the way in.
Yeah.
I think I watch my wife, struggling with some things right now. Of my wife was a pro bodybuilder. She had been qualified to get her pro card. She didn't ever get the pro card because I got her pregnant, but she was qualified to get her pro card. She walked around with a 6-pack. I mean, anytime you seen her, she was shredded, all this other stuff. And I think a lot of folks, we got a buddy named Sloan, it's like that too. They build that standard for themselves, and that's where they want to always be. But things happen in life. You get a little bit older. You're not able to hold that same body type that you had. You have to work a little harder. You have to change things up.
Have you seen LL Cool J?
Yeah, he's a phenomenon.
Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah. He's got private chefs. No. It's funny. Well, I'll get into that in minutes. But I watch my wife, and she's like, she looks great. And her upper abs are back in, but she had 2 kids, and she's 4'11".
Yeah.
So her bottom abs may never come back. They may always be like a little pooch there because you had 2 kids in your belly that were 7 and 8 pounds,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're 4'11", So when she got big, I mean, there wasn't nowhere for it to go but out, what I mean? So, but I think it bugs her so bad because she's seen herself so long with that 6-pack and being in this perfect shape. This girl will crush you in a workout. Like, I mean, you work out with her, ask Jamie, no. You literally, when you get done, you're just beat. And she's just like, okay, so you want to do like 5 more sets? I'm like, no, I'm done. I was done like 6 sets ago, And she's just ready to go, and she's an Energizer bunny. But in her mind, she's like, she doesn't have that 6-pack, and she doesn't have this like perfect. So she just launched her new company. She would launch Go Forth Wellness, and she was very
Go get the app.
Go get the app, buy it.
Yep.
Buy the program. I mean, download the app for free, but buy the program because that's how you make money. But also, it's a phenomenal app, and she's worked so hard to build it up. But she was so self-conscious when she got in to go film these videos because she was so used to being on camera and having the midriff shirt and having the 6-pack and all this other stuff. So she had to wear shirts that was a little bit more, like what a mom would wear. That's had a couple kids.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to, but in her mind she had to because she,
I'm gonna let you know something. There's a lot more moms out there that are looking to get in shape.
Oh yeah, and the 6-pack people running around.
Right.
And, I think it makes it more real, And she shared her journey. She went through some really hard stuff with her breast implant had ruptured, and she was leaking silicone into her body, and there was just a lot of stuff she dealt with for 2 years that we had no clue. I mean, we spent $25,000, $30,000 trying to figure out what was wrong with her, and this whole time it was something that we would have never thought it was.
And I guarantee somewhere along the way, if it hasn't happened already, she's going to help another woman who's experiencing the same symptoms,
she's
who hasn't figured out what's going on.
Literally has 2 people right now she's helping, and she's building one of the programs she's building is to help these women after they get their chest cut, and it wouldn't just be for those women who had breast implants, but women that are coming out of breast cancer that have to have what's it called, mastectomy.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah, sounds right.
People that have to go through that, helping them build back up their chest muscles, helping moms, who have diastasis where their abs are separated from, being pregnant.
Yeah.
There's exercise and stuff to bring it in. Now, sometimes you have to get surgery, but if it's not too far gone, you can work those muscles back in. So she's creating these programs to help these women who have been through that because now she's been through it. It's kind of like what we talked about with the experience like you went through. Now you can help people. Or my dad went through, he can help people. So now she's able to go in and help these moms, or just any women in general that have had those issues. Whereas before she was like, if you just eat right and exercise, everything's great. But because of the things she went through, the trials and tribulations of the sicknesses and going through all this stuff, now she's become a health practitioner. Now she knows how to read. She can read labs. She can do all this other stuff. And she realized that it's not just diet and exercise. And people say, oh, it's calories in, calories out. For most people, it is that. They need to get serious about their diet and their meal plan. They need to work out. But there's so many things, especially for women, hormones women that have went through, gotten off birth control, on birth control, had a baby, lost a baby. I mean, there's so many things that happen that mess up the women's hormones so bad. But now she's studied it and she knows that. So she can't just look at every single woman and say, calories in, calories out, just diet and exercise and you'll be fine. She can actually get to the root of the problem. Mm-hmm. That's why with her app, it's like you're healthy from the inside out. Because a lot of times we look at health as just the way you look on the outside in a bikini or, the way you look naked. But your health really starts inside your gut and inside your body, and that controls your inflammation. If you got bad inflammation going on, you feel sick, your joints hurt, all these other things. If you can get rid of that inflammation, dude, your life is just changed. And it doesn't even matter what the scale says. If the inflammation's gone, your life is getting better.
That's right. I do want to give a huge shameless plug because we did have lunch today, And you did have the ability to show me the app. So give them the name one more time.
Go Forth Wellness.
Go Forth Wellness. Download the app.
Yep.
He showed it to me. He walked me through it. It's impressive.
It's
It's phenomenal.
I'm so proud of her.
Oh, as you should
Like
be.
she built something, and I knew when I started talking to her about it, I was like, oh, she's going to do something cool, you know. And I told her she was working in a job that she didn't love and not being treated fairly. And I said, quit your job and go make it one yourself. Go build your own company. And it's a shot in the dark because, you know, it's like you got to get people got to buy it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to count, you know, first off, you got to hopefully count on your friends, you know, just to support it. Even if they don't even want to do the app, they should still go buy it and support it. I'm that way. I'll go help and support my friends. I buy their music, you know, all the time and other stuff, you know, that I've downloaded or whatever, just to try and help my friends. And so I do suggest if you're listening and you're one of my wife's friends, you should have already downloaded the app and you should have already bought the program, even if you don't want to use it. But that's where it starts, you know. I mean, that's just going to get you a little ways. You know, really got to go into advertising, and you have to have a great product. But she created a great product.
It's fantastic. So
And-
it gives live workouts,
Live workouts, yeah.
meal plans, smoothie plans.
Yeah, you get a free smoothie guide, and there are smoothie guides that are based on what you might need for your health.
Yeah.
You know, the ingredients that you might need for anti-inflammatory or, you know, to help get your joints feeling a little better. And she's got a supplement guide in there that helps you see what you really need and put you with a company that has real supplements that actually have the stuff that'll help you in it, as opposed to just go and buy the next thing at, you know, the next convenience store.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was just so proud of her because she took it serious. We put a lot of money into it, and now the biggest thing here is like to curb her expectations. So opening night, she sold like 15. You know, like
Which is
like
fantastic.
15 people. I was like, you
Yeah.
made $1,500 because it's $99 for the thing. You made $1,500 in less than 24 hours of having this app available.
Yeah.
And about half of it was people that were our friends, people that we know, but the other half was people that saw it on the internet and said, hey. I was like, you haven't even really spent any money on advertising yet, you know? And so it's really cool, and I'm just proud of her, and I pray for her that this is the thing because she loves it and she wants to help, you know, women specifically. She has some guys. I mean, you've seen David Stegg, how much weight he's lost.
Yeah.
His health has changed, dramatically. His wife's same thing. She's lost 15 or 16 pounds in the first month and a half, you know, and I think he's at like 40 pounds or something like that lost, you know. And the good thing about it is we got their numbers the other day, and their muscle mass has went up by 2 and 3% while they were losing weight, you know.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're hitting the magic, because if your muscle's going up and your fat's going down, your weight's going down, but your muscle's going up, that means that you're doing the right thing, because the worst thing you can do is lose your muscle mass, especially as we're in our 40s and 50s and
no
stuff
doubt.
like that. So,
No doubt.
but I
No doubt.
appreciate that, and I love you.
No, it's legit awesome. At least do yourself a favor and go look at it.
Yeah.
It's awesome for
Yeah.
sure. I think we're out of time.
I'm so out of love. I'm so lost without you.
One of
Pretending
these
for
days
so
we're going to end it with just
long.
walking away while he's singing.
I'll
I
be
thought he was going to hit us with the
falling
Let It
in
Go
love
a
as you
little earlier.
walk.
I thought for
Let
sure.
it go. Nice. Hey, look, I love y'all guys. Remember to subscribe, comment, share it with a friend, give us 5 stars. Bam, 5 stars. You know, and if you hate it, you know, just go listen to somebody else's podcast, but, you know, still give us 5 stars.
Don't do that. Come
where you
back and
go.
listen to us.
Yeah,
Like I
we're gonna
always
make
say.
We'll
you
make it
mad.
better.
We'll make you mad at some point, but we're also going to make you laugh
Well,
at
we
some
might
point, too.
not.
Or you might
I
love us the
gave
whole
no
time.
promises to this thing.
Yeah. Anyways.
0 edits.
Yeah.
You know,
Love you guys.
Love you all. Thank you for the support.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Y'all trying to end without us doing our thing.
Because
with
we're
you.
watching the
Okay.
guy that's telling us
Yeah.
that we're out of time, and you're not. You guys put the wrong guy on the wrong side of the table. He
Yeah.
can't ever see what you guys are saying.
Well, before we go, we always have to say something that we're grateful for, something that, you know, that's going on in our lives, you know, something like that. So you
Is
gotta,
that what we always do?
Yeah, we did. We did love. I
We
did
did that
love.
once.
We did just do an entire episode focused on gratitude. So I agree it should definitely happen.
Yeah. So you got to say something you're thankful for, something that's going great in your life right now that your gratitude is just meter is just going off the hook for. So you
I mean,
go
I think
first.
I already said that. It was like
No,
I
you say
literally
it again.
wake up every day just going, I can't believe how blessed my life is.
Okay.
There's not one in particular thing. It's
just all of it.
everything. I mean, I'm thankful for a lot of the crap that I'm not even thankful for.
All right.
Just blew my mind. Go ahead.
I am going to go with I am grateful for Autumn getting her business open and going
Yes.
and
Heck
having
yeah.
some having some fulfillment in that.
Yeah.
That's massive. I think it's a big part of what we've been talking about is that fulfillment. So I'm very grateful that she's
Now listen,
got that.
I'm just gonna let you know I did put a limit on my wife coming to your store once a month because she came in first day, spent $200, but she put $200 worth of stuff. Now I'm gonna let you know though, she wore that little romper thing she bought the other day. Woo, she looked good in it
Listen,
too.
there's one on the wall right now
Yeah.
that I hope you'll get to see Saturday night.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the road Saturday night, but
Okay.
I'll be back
Yeah.
in soon.
But I walked into the store the other day, and it's hanging right when you walk through the front door. It's hanging on the right on the wall, and Autumn wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Addie was.
Yeah.
I was going in to see her 15-year-old, and I looked up and I said, "Damn, I got to see Autumn in that.
That's
got
awesome.
to."
Yeah.
And that night I told her, I said that green thing hanging on the wall, like I might need you to put that on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I can take it off. Not me, you. No, that's awesome, man. I mean, the store looks great. I went in the other day for the first time when we had our thing at the fountains last week, and it's awesome. And it's cool to see your wife, like our wives. I mean, Jen's been over there killing her business, and now Jared basically just works for Jen all the time.
Yeah,
So
that's my new job.
I told my wife, I said, listen, I'm all about this working and me
I
being
don't
a
know how we
stay-at-home
made
dad.
this
so.
happen.
Listen, it was so funny because, like, Jen will joke about the fact that, like, our entire life together, she's always been Jared's wife.
Yeah.
And, like, she was talking to somebody about some business stuff the other day, and they're like, and what do you do? And I was like, I just work for her.
Yeah.
She was like, that felt so weird. I was like, I'm just going to be Jen's husband for a while.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
For me, I think my grateful thing right now is just second chances and third chances and fourth chances.
Amen.
Because, after we sit here and we live through this episode, it's, I want to be better about giving them, but I also want to, be thankful for the ones that I've gotten because I was supposed to be dead by 30. I'm turning 40 on June 28th, which this episode will probably air after that. But I'm grateful that, and have the gratitude and everything for the fact that I've had more chances, maybe even more chances than I deserved on some fronts, because I mean, we make mistakes, but I'm just grateful that we've had that, so.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
absolutely.
And that's going to be the end of our podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you go do all the stuff we said earlier. We love you. And if you just go and do those things that really help us be better because we need help get this podcast to be bigger. That make you want to get it?
We love y'all.
I wanted to cry on the internet. I wanted to cry on the internet.